Good morning, guys. We're at Animal Kingdom this morning. We're trying to kind of force ourselves to get a slow start this morning. Not due to us, due to the bus. Trying to get there late. We're on our way to the Kilimanjaro Safari. We're going to trail it over there and try to do that first. Yeah. So we'll try to video it once we get there. So yeah. We're on the safari. See, we're at the safari. People do all the stuff.
Hey, Warden.
Yep.
Warden.
We gotta like go big. Not all the animals.
She's on the phone. She's calling up a couple more friends here. Hello, come on.
Except I want one of those things.
Just please make it on the dashboard.
Sure.
Hey, Warden, can you hear me?
There's a few here, a few there.
The answer is no.
Oh, I got my phone. You want my hood stuff out of
Hello, hello. Come on in, everyone. Slide all the way in. Once we got everyone on board, get going out here. Feel free to take a look above your heads if you haven't already. That is your animal spotting reference. Might help you identify some animals or just give you an idea of what we're looking out for here.
And do you see the list? Well, they're all in here. They're all out.
All the different animals. We're going to see all the
It is going to be bumpy right out there. We just want to make sure that none of your items are going to walk over this. So we start placing their hat nose device with you.
But then when they said they were going to be Hollywood Studios, and then on Sunday, I was yeah, don't.
Alright, if you're on the right side of the truck, watch your hands, arms, feet, legs, doors are closing. Alright, thank you, Abby. Well, it's one day, everybody. In Swahili, that means let's go. So, Jonathan, once again, my name is Kylie. I'm going to be your safari guide throughout the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. As we head in, just go over a few reminders. Please make sure you do stay seated at all times, keeping arms, hands, legs, and feet inside our truck. Little ones are more than welcome to sit on your laps if you fear they can't see. Just please do not hold them in the air or pass them around like a hot potato. As a friendly reminder, please also make sure that face coverings stay on properly throughout this whole adventure. An adventure we've just gotten started here in the Little Aturi Forest. This is one of several ecosystems that we're going to explore together. It's home to mostly shy animals, so they do hide from us very often behind the bushes and trees and have very natural color coats like brown, tan, and gray. So they do love to hide from us here. But just keep a lookout between the bushes and the trees. Watering holes like this one we're getting to are social gathering places. So animals like to come down here and get some food, get some water together, and it looks like some black rhinos have done just that.
Mama, do you have your phone out? No.
There are 5 different kinds of rhinos in the world, my friends. These ones are the smallest. They weigh about 3,000 pounds.
That's a small
They can still run 30 miles an hour. Never let their weight fool you.
My mom was calling me.
Also, just up ahead here are a few greater kudu. These tan antelopes on our right are the second to largest antelope in Africa. They're about 5 foot You can tell all three are girls too because they don't have any horns. Only the males have long spiralized horns that you can see on your spotting guide if you want. Their cousins are on our left side too, the copper antelope called the bongo. Also some saddle-billed storks who are 4 foot tall. These birds actually get their names because of that yellow saddle right on the orange beak. Now, 2 of them are never too far from one another. They do mate for life. But we are going to head down to the Safi River, see if we can find some aquatic animals swimming around. Do you see a lump in the water just up ahead here? In fact, that is a Nile hippopotamus.
Oh, there's a couple of them. Hippos.
There are a couple more here on our left side too.
Down in the water.
Now hippos are underwater for about 18 hours of their days. They do have very sensitive skin. They get burned pretty easily, so kind of hard to tell how big they are. But they're 5,000 pounds. They weigh more than the rhino you just saw. A couple of birds over here too. These are the pink-backed pelicans. They do get their name because their backs change to the color pink during mating season, as if they literally blushed for one another. They're kind of one of the only other animals here because if you don't know, hippos are very territorial. They're the most dangerous animal in all of Africa because of it. I'm telling you, they do not share space very well. But on the other side of these falls, there are some other animals. Nile crocodiles, who also happen to be pretty dangerous. For the most part, they are very still. As you can see, they are ectothermic, which means they rely on their surroundings to regulate body temperature. The scale on the back is like a solar panel, too. Helps regulate that energy. But the dangerous part does come when they close their mouths, so we are going to drive far away from them. Make our way over to some open grasslands, commonly known as the savannah, which is home to all of the giraffes and elephants, wild dogs, lions, cheetahs, warthogs, ostrich. Oh my.
Oh my.
Wow, fun so far, aren't we?
There's a funny looking tree just up ahead here, which is called the baobab. Might look familiar to you. It is very significant because of its massive trunks. It holds almost 500 gallons of water, so the tree is a reservoir. If the land ever gets dry, animals can come up to it and poke holes in the trunk and drink water from there, which is why it's nicknamed the Tree of Life. We'll see a couple more out here. You'll probably see a much larger version though on your own. Welcome to the savannah. We're going to head down, get a closer look at these animals, and to help with your perspective, keep in mind you are sitting 6 feet above the ground right now, so you are eye level to the baby giraffes that run around here. You are going to be towered over by the adults. They are 16 foot tall, so you're halfway there. Now these little ones to the right of us are springbok. They're only 3 foot tall as an adult, but they do jump 6 feet up in the air. That is twice their height. Their name springbok literally translates to springing buck. They're very small, but they also are very mighty. They can run almost 45 miles per hour. So they're one of the top 5 fastest land animals. Sometimes when they're really excited, they do what's called pronking. It's a fun word to say, but it's when they run through the savannah just jumping up into the air 6 foot high repeatedly. It's an amazing sight to see, so if you ever catch glimpses of that, very rare. Looks like the African wild dogs are here on our left, often known as painted dogs based off of their unique paint-like splatters on their coats. But don't let their fluffiness fool you. These are the most successful predators in all of Africa. They can work together really well and run their prey to pure exhaustion, which gives them a 90% success rate. Better than any lion, cheetah, and hyena combined. There's a couple of other animals over here on our left too. The Ankole cattle, they grow the largest set of horns in the world. Sable antelopes a little further back with curved horns, which they use like swords to fight off predators, because they're the most brave prey. There are mascots too. We chose them because just as much as they stand up for their lives, that's what we do here. We stand up for all these animals' lives. And their habitats, because speaking of, these orange things coming out of the ground are termite mounds. So they are home to tens and thousands of termites. Although what's really cool is the fact they are made of soil, saliva, and dung, yet still dry to be as hard as concrete. So a lot of larger animals, like those cattle we just saw, will use these as a scratching post. And if they file them down to a shorter height, like some that we'll see on the head, small animals like springbuck can stand on it and use it as a lookout post. Just goes to explain that when these animals work together, everything in the savannah stays balanced and beautiful. Working as a team truly is an important dynamic. I mean, everyone worked really hard on making the savannah pretty. These springbuck are like lawnmowers, they graze the grass. Giraffes are kind of like the tree trimmers, they eat the leaves off the trees, and elephants are sort of like bulldozers, they knock down the trees. Now the white-bearded wildebeest on our right here truly do have little white beards under their chins if you get a good look. But they do always face different directions when they're in a herd together. And so they get a 360 view on their surroundings. They literally always have each other's backs, which is kind of adorable. This is a pretty small herd too from what you'd see in the wild. Out there you'd see perhaps a few hundred, a few thousand together. Looks like someone else has come over to say hi here. Got a giraffe up ahead in our path. Now these are Messiah giraffe. If you look closely at their pattern, since we do have a great view here, they are very rugged edged. Looks like we'll have a long view here.
That's a girl.
It's like, I'm just gonna wait here. She says, hello, I'd like to see you.
It's like, what you guys doing? How are you? Good.
Yeah.
He's coming over to talk to me.
Now, should you decide to step out of the way soon, you might see a green truck come to the rescue. It's a truck of treats. Usually food is the way to the heart, especially when you have 4 stomachs like these giraffes.
Or Vicky. Or
Really?
am I wrong?
I mean, so what oh my goodness.
Look how far he is. Yeah, not so.
I mean, it's just his head, but
It's fine.
no, it's like there.
Now, just up ahead here, as I mentioned, you're sitting 6 feet above the ground, which is eye level to the baby giraffes. The little one that was just born in October is coming up here on our left. If you don't follow Disney on social media, she does have a sister as well. Their names are Maple and Zella. She's going up into the corner.
He's hiding.
I got a big one. Got another view with some wildebeest over here on our right. Maybe you can see those white beards. There are a couple knockdown trees just over here though, so I don't think the African elephants are going to be too far off. Remember, they are bulldozers. They love knocking trees down because that is the easiest way for them to grab all the vegetation, since they look for 500 pounds of food every day. Kind of how much you gather in. Looks like he's going to be on our right doing what he does best. They can easily tell this is a boy because he is by himself. Male elephants are solitary animals. They kind of get kicked out by their mothers once they turn 15 to live life on their own. That's more food for him. I'll actually get a pretty great view of him right over here. So you see how he's using his trunk to pick up all of his food? There are more muscles in that one trunk than there are in your whole body. So they're very multi-purpose. He'll drink some water with it, he'll throw some mud onto his back, maybe pull down some tree branches too. But let's see if we can find a couple more elephants. There is a whole other side of this territory. Thankfully it is quite big here on the reserve, but these are critically endangered animals. 500 pounds of food is getting a lot harder for them to reach because of habitat loss. They struggle with deforestation like many animals do, the cutting down of trees, but mining in specific really affects these elephants. These territories of theirs hold a mineral called coltan, which we use for our batteries in our cars or in our cell phones. So if you're ever able to recycle an old cell phone to your nearest technology store, like Apple or Best Buy, even online services do it now. Maybe you transition to an electric car in your future, or even just switching some simple household supplies, like dryer sheets to dryer balls. Those are all some small changes that you can make that make a big impact for saving these elephants. Now, over here, we're going to search for a herd of elephants maybe. That is all the females and their little ones, or we could find a bachelor group, which are typically brother elephants. Either way, we only drive through see about a third of the reserve, so there is a lot that is left unseen that causes these animals to kind of wander through, so keep that in mind. There is a show though now on Disney Plus called The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom. Anyone seen it already?
Yes.
Thank you. So the tree that they talk about, the one that's actually a light, is that palm tree right on the left. But that show gives you a lot more insight on this reserve, what goes on to take care of these animals, and you just get to see the other 2/3 that we don't have the time to together here. But fortunately, we are heading down to another watering hole right now, so social gathering place to remember. Hopefully we see some animals down here. Yeah, it looks like the flamingos are just around the corner. More specifically, these are greater flamingos. So that means they're the tallest, the biggest, and the lightest pink color of them all. Now, flamingos eat a lot of brine shrimp because there's a mineral called beta-carotene, which is what their bodies absorbs and then changes their feathers pink. It's about a 2-year-long process, so you'll see some of these are a little more gray because those are 1-year-old baby flamingos. But for the graders, their wings are the darkest pink because that's where the most blood vessels are. So that's where most of that mineral gets absorbed. If you want to see some overall darker pink flamingo, there are some of the lesser flamingo in the tree, by the Tree of Life in the center of the park. Looks like there's some other friendly giants just around here. The white rhino. Now we saw black rhinos earlier who were 3,000 pounds, and these ones are 5,000. They still run 30 miles an hour too. But they're not aggressive animals. They are super sweet. They have really bad eyesight, so rhinos kind of get scared very easily and just start running. They see about 10 feet in front of them, so they barely see us right now, but notice how those ears flicker around. They do listen to what's happening around them. One of them is standing in this mud wallow, which they do love rolling in. As you can see, they've got some mud on their backs right now. They have very sensitive skin too, so rolling around mud helps to cool them down. It's like a natural sunscreen, which is always good for you. But underneath the mud, they're still not white like their name suggests. The only reason why they're called white rhinos is due to a misinterpretation of the Afrikaans word "wit," which means wide, resembles their wide mouth. But people kept saying white rhinos instead of white for years, and the name just stuck. Looks like the cheetahs are going for a little walk here. You can see those sleek bodies of theirs that bring them to 60 miles per hour, or 97 kilometers per hour in about 3 seconds. These are the fastest land animals of the world. They're really unique big cats too. They're the only ones that do most of their hunting in the day, and they do not roar. They meow like a house cat, which is kind of adorable. But this fun rock formation we've just pulled up to is called a kopie. It's home to some other kitties, the lions. However, they are nocturnal animals, so they are mostly active at nighttime. During the day, they rest and conserve energy for all their evening activities, including hunting. So you might find them, yes, but they're going to be a little bit restful here as they take their naps. There are some other animals that you're seeing on our right too, like some more white rhinos, but this cutie is a bontebok. He is extinct in the wild, unfortunately. He faces a lot of poaching for his coat, so he's protected here. These are some really majestic animals, the lions. Some truly big cats too. Got a good look at their paws. One of them is big enough to cover your whole face.
Did you know that they're brother and sister? Actually, she told you the one.
Now once it becomes nightfall, it's actually the girls that do go out and do most of the hunting. Male lions will like to stay back at the kopie so he can be the one to protect it and any of its cubs. When the girls come back, they do always let the male indulge first though on whatever they caught, just kind of as a thank you. So if you've never joined us for an evening safari, I do recommend it. You get to see the lions a little more active. But when they're Simba, Pumbaa is not too far, right? Here's a warthog. He's one of the only relatives of the domesticated pig, so he does have a snout just like them, but then they also have those really sharp tusks, which they use to make all those holes you see in the ground. They're called burrows. Now, not only are we seeing some more white rhinos, but we're seeing a baby here. His name is Ranger. He's about 800 pounds today, so he does still have a very long way to grow. Aww. Now there's some ostrich eggs also to the right, which you could stand on and they do not break under your feet. She's gone off for a little walk over here, but these are not all her eggs. Ostrich are communal layers. They do put all of them in one nest and take turns watching them. You can tell she's a girl because of her gray feathers too. Male ostrich have solid black. Now unfortunately, we're coming up to the edge of the savannah, so we're gonna start making our way back up to the village. Although we've seen a lot of really cool animals this morning. Giraffes, we saw elephants and lions and rhinos. But remember, these are endangered animals, so everyone's here to kind of be protected. But what's amazing is that we've also learned a lot about them as they've been here, especially how we can better share the planet. So the warden's post that we are going to drive along is managed in a way where we can continue to learn how to live in harmony with animals. Right now it's home to Nigerian dwarf goats. They're pretty adorable and pretty defenseless out in the wild on their own, so we protect them here as they eat, sleep, and play all day long. And I tell you, they eat a lot of the weeds in the area, which is really helpful. But most importantly, the milk that they produce is the most nutritious of them all. So the villagers of our community don't have to rely on any other wildlife for milk. Basically, the goats can just hang out here, we can hang out with them and just share the planet. And that's the overall idea. Plus, there are so many ways where we can help in their everyday lives, like recycling and using reusable bags, cups, straws, water bottles, turning lights off, all things we've heard of before. But small changes are the ones that add up to making a big difference, especially if we're working together. As I've mentioned though, the best way to help most of these animals is just to learn more about them. So I want to thank you so much for joining us here at Kilimanjaro Safaris, because whether you did learn something new, or maybe you just saw an animal you've never seen before, or you captured a moment with your favorite one, continue to just explore and appreciate this beautiful world around us that we all call home. Now we have returned to the village, but our adventure is a little longer than those around us. I am going to drop you off exactly where I picked you up. So we're going to drive by a couple of these unloading docks that you'll see, but I'm going to